do a video on making a personal site with React. I forgot to record my breakout the other day, and I know a lot of you guys wanted to see this, so I'll go through it real quick. So to get started, we're going to npm install globally create React app. And what this is something Facebook put out. It's just like basically a boilerplate that when you run create React app, it'll set up just a basic React app with Webpack and Babel already set up, so it'll compile your JSX code and your ES6 down so any web browser can read it, and Webpack is set up to run all your dependencies and anything else you're using together so everything works. It's just a lot easier to use than trying to set up your own React app, and it's like the new standard of building out simple static web pages with React. So I already have this installed, but here's the command here if you guys don't have that yet. It takes a little bit to install. But once that's done installing, we can do create-react-app and then the name of the file. So I'll just do personal site video. So we're saying create React app, and then this is just whatever you want the directory that it's going to make for you. So if I run this, it takes a little while. It's just going to go through, install React, the React DOM, all the scripts that React uses, and it sets up Babel and Webpack for us, and it'll get all the dependencies needed to start with a very basic React app. So while this finishes up, almost there, it takes a little while. Really doing a lot for you, so you'd have to do all this stuff that this sets up by hand, and it just makes making a React app very tedious. And makes a lot of things go wrong if you don't do it right. So I like to do it this way since Facebook just has it set up and you know it's going to work. So there you go, it's done. So you can cd into that directory it made for you, and I'll just start it real quick. So you can run yarn start or npm start, but I prefer yarn using create React app. So it'll open up on localhost 3000 and takes a second. I'm making a video, man. Coulter. Okay, so and then it'll open up to just this page that React gives you, cool spinning logo. But we're obviously going to get rid of all this stuff, so get a new tab going real quick. React personal site. Okay, so if we open this up in Atom, so it's going to come. Everything that we just saw is built out in this, obviously, because it's running off of our React server. So you'll have a public folder with your index and manifest. You're not going to use either of these. Your index, the only thing important in your index.html is this ID root. I mean, you can leave everything else here. It's not going to mess anything up if it's there. And then in your source, you've got your app.css, which I just go ahead and get rid of all this because we'll obviously have our own CSS. App.js, this is just the main component of this app. And I like to use this as just like something I can copy and paste for all my components because it's already set up. So what I do is I just get rid of everything inside the parent div. In React, each return statement can only have one child. So if you have multiple, say, p tags in here, you have to have a div around these because you have, if there wasn't a div, there'd be two elements in this return, and the return only accepts one child element. So you have to have a wrapper div basically around everything in there, or it won't compile right. So we're going to leave that. we can get rid of the logo because we don't need that logo anymore. We don't need app.test.js, so I'm just going to get rid of that file completely. Index.css, I get rid of it. It's just like reset CSS basically. Index.js, we're going to just get rid of some imports. So we're not going to use the service worker. We got rid of index.css, and then we don't need this service worker right here. And so what index.js is doing is it's saying, so with the React DOM, render our app component, which is this component right here in our app.js. It's saying, so we're importing that component. It's saying render this app component, and it's getting the ID of root. So it's saying render everything in this component at root. And that's just how React works. You render everything to one div in the HTML, and then the React DOM will update and change things according to your code. Okay, moving on. Don't need the React logo anymore, and we don't need the service worker. So now you should have a CSS file, an app.js, and an index.js in your source folder. So let's see, I'm going to add some Bootstrap. I'm not going to really focus on styling in this. Yeah, so now you can see Hello World is there. And so before I do Bootstrap, Hello World's here, and something that the Webpack has set up is live updating. So if I said hello Nick here, I can just go back, click on the page, and it'll render hello Nick without me having to refresh or anything. But anyways, I'm going to add boot swatch to it, so I don't have to style. It's not the point of this video, just showing you how to use React, but it needs to be easy to look at. So put that in real quick. Probably fast forward through this. Link. Boom. I mean, I guess I'll keep this. This is how you would add Bootstrap. Same exact way as you'd add it to anything else. Just put a link in your index.html to it. Cool, so now we have Bootstrap. So what I'm going to do now, let's get rid of this. Let's make a new folder in our source called components. So everything in our components folder is obviously going to be a component for the page. So right now I'm just going to make the 4 files we're going to have that we're going to use throughout, and we'll slowly build them. So we're going to want a header. So good practice with React is to, if you're creating a file that's going to be a component, you capitalize the first letter of that file. It's just easier because you're going to see, like here, the A is capitalized on this component name. So it's just easier when you're linking the file path to know if it's a component. Both those are going to be capitalized. So moving on, there's header. We're going to have an about component, projects component, and a contact component. Cool. So we'll start with the header. So what we're going to do, I'll build this from scratch so you guys understand what's going on. So first off, we want to import. And what import is, it's the ES6 version of require. So normally we would do const react equals require whatever. But with ES6 you can do import react from react. And this is saying import the module react within our node modules from the module of React. And what we're also going to do to make things a little easier is import component from within that. So anything within braces like this on an import is saying it's a part of that module. So really what component would be if we didn't import that, we could do react.component, because that's saying within this React, get component. But if we call component here, we can just use component because it's already importing basically this line. So we can just type component and we have to use that. And then, so So that one is just importing React and we're setting a component to a name basically. And then we can also, we'll import our CSS here. I don't know how much CSS will do, but I'll just have it in there so you can see how to import a file like that. So that's just importing the file of app.css. So that'll affect changes in this page. Okay, so let's make our first component. So we're going to do export default. So that's saying export this entire component. You can only have one export default per page. You don't have to have the default on there, but when you import it, it works a little differently. And if you just have one component on the page, you can always just do export default and it makes things work more simple. So we're going to do export default, the name or class, and then the name of your component. So header extends component. Basically what this is saying is, so export default, so export the component with the name header, and then it's saying extends component, so it's basically saying like header is a component basically. You can look more into that. It's sort of confusing to explain, but in a general sense it's just saying that header is using component from the React module, which is written out in your node modules. And then inside of our component, we're going to have a render function with just a return inside of it. So yeah, let's just make a quick header. I'll make a div because we're going to have more than one child in here. Div. So something with React that will catch you sometimes is you can't just use class for the class name of a div or an h1, whatever you're using class for, because class is defined here. React sees this as class and it thinks you're calling a new component or something of that sort. So you have to use class name for HTML classes or JSX classes. Just something to keep in mind. And then we'll make this a page header from Bootstrap. And I'll just put h1, Nick McKendry, small full stack developer. Cool. So now that we've got this header component made, so right now we're rendering our app component from app.js. So if we want this component to render our header, we can go into app.js. We need to import header from /components. So the file path to header.js/header. And then, so that's saying import header, this component, from header.js. You don't have to, you shouldn't include the .js in the end. You can just do header like that. And then to use this, inside of our div, we can just call header. And that's just saying render the entire header component here. It's just a self-closing tag just like that. So now, when our index.js is rendering our app component, it'll render header because we're calling header within our app. So if I go to my page, it's not my page, let's see. Oh, whoops. Yeah, I don't need this dot. And it should work now. There we go. Nick McKendry, full stack developer, because we wrote that header there. So now, let's go build out our 3 other pages real quick. Just do some lorem ipsum real quick. So what I usually do to make this go faster, since on everything we're going to be importing both of these. We're always going to be export defaulting a class with some div with content in it. So I'll just copy and paste a good component I have made. Just paste that in there. And then all you have to change is the name of the component. So this is our about file. So we'll change the name of the component to about. And then all we have to do is change what's inside of here. So our about, we'll just have an h3, about me, and then we'll have, we don't want this to be a page header. We'll make it a row. We'll do some lorem ipsum, lorem ipsum, lorem ipsum. So we'll have 3 paragraphs there. Nothing too crazy. Just give these columns so it doesn't look terrible. Call need for, call need for. Boom, copy and paste that real quick. And okay, sorry, okay, now, so whatever, that's our about me page. Contact, we're just gonna copy and paste our header again because it's our smallest component that has everything we're gonna need. So contact, change this to contact instead of header, and we're good to go to make our contact page. So we can just do h4 GitHub, whatever my link to GitHub is. Now, LinkedIn, and email, sure. Okay, and then class name equals container, sure. And then last one, projects. Copy and paste this in again, and call it projects. So same thing as before, take that out, take this out, give it a row, and then we're going to create some divs. No, that's not what I want. Some divs, which the whole div is going to be a class name, we'll have 3 projects, so mid4, and it's going to be a well div. And then inside we'll have a h3 of project 1, and then a p of some lorem ipsum. And we're just going to make this div 3 times. Project 2, project 3. Okay, cool. So now we have these 4 components. But right now on our page, it's still just this header because still all that we're doing is rendering our app.js, which all that is header. So now we need to make some routes. And what we're going to use for routes is something called React Router, which I'll pull up the documentation real quick. Should have had this up before, but here we go. So the best way, React Router is a little confusing. They just updated, so the documentation is not that great about it yet. So what I always do is come here to their basic example, and I grab this import right here, because this is everything you'll ever use with it for basic static pages like this. So grab this import, and I'm going to put this in my index.js with my render. And what I like to do with my render is make it a little easier to look at. So I'll move the component down a line and move this down a line. So we're going to go get rid of this. We just need a comma there, but okay, so we can go router. So we're making a new router, and then inside of this router, we're going to have many routes. This is like a single page app with React basically, so you can go between tabs, but it really just changes the view. So our first route will be path will equal just slash and our component. will equal an object of, so for us to use components, we have to import all these components that we're going to use to be able to call them. So we'll import, or we already have app, so here will be app, and that's just a self-closing tag on that. But we'll still import about from / components / about. So that's our about. We're going to copy and paste this. Oh man. Copy and paste this 1, 2, 4 times. And then instead of about here, we're going to have contact, header, and projects. So there's our 4 components that are going to be our 4 separate pages that we're going to route to. So right now, our only path is @ the header. And so what this first route is, we're going to have other routes below this, but this is considered our index route. And whatever is on your index route will always be there. And anything after with a / in front of it, this will stay there. So since our app is just our header will be on every page and won't ever go away. Just these components that go to different routes down here, these will be the ones changing, but our app, or what is our header component for now, will always be there. So in order to have a home page, so normally if I were to go path and I want my about me to be on my home page, if I were to do this, component, component equals about, about, this would render it so that our app and our about are always there, since this is our index route of /. So in order to fix that, we can call this exact path. So that's saying only if it's only / will about be there. And that makes it so that our home page will land on about, but then that component will change if we go away from /. So now our home page should be our header, which is in our app.js, and our about, but only when we're on / will that about be there. But the header will always stay on the page. And then let's add these other routes real quick. So we'll do route path equals about, sure, component equals, well, we don't want that. Oops. We'll do projects. And the component on projects is projects. Now then, route path equals, I don't know why I imported header, but equals / contact, and the component equals contact. So now we have a page for about, which is our home page, projects, and contacts. And this is all in one router. Okay, so now we should be able to go here. Oops. Oh, that's important. So we added all of that, all of this stuff from React Router DOM, but I completely forgot you have to npm install, add this as a dependency, since we're importing it from this node module of React Router DOM. So I would suggest using yarn add. npm sometimes doesn't work well with create React app. So you can just do yarn add React Router DOM. And that'll save it as a dependency and add it to your Webpack and everything you need for it to work. And this is just giving us access to use these routers and routes and the link that we'll use later. So Now this should work fine. Maybe I'm going to restart my server. Hopefully, come on. It's loading very slow. There we go. Nope. Oh. Let's see. A router may only have one child element. Oh, okay. So, like I was talking about before, React only likes one child element. So inside of this router, we're going to put a div around all these routes, because then there's only one child element of this router, if that makes sense. So now we'll go back. Boom. I don't know why it's off my screen like that, but whatever. So there's our home page with our About Me on it. If we go to /projects, there's our projects. And if we go to /contact, there's our 3 routes of our page. But now let's add a quick nav, and I'll show you how to navigate between the pages using this React Router DOM. So gonna need this in we'll add it to our header. So we need this in here because we're going to be using the link function. And what we'll do inside the page header below this, so instead of using an A tag, you're just going to say link to /projects. This basically just makes a tag for you, but it works with React Router to just load that component basically. So it looks just like an A tag without the href. And we can put projects here. Link to /contact. Say contact me. I feel like I'm forgetting a route. Let's see. So we have projects, contact. Nope, we're good to go. So there we go. Should just update. So if I click projects, boom, contact me. And I guess we should have a home. Just so these look better real quick. Class name equals call name. Boom. And home projects at home. Oh, whoops. This should just be /. And home is our About Me, projects, contact me. So there you go. That's a very basic way to make a personal site, and I hope it kind of just shows you, like, I personally think React is super simple to do it with. I know I moved a little fast. You can come ask me questions if you have any, but basically each of your pages is its own separate small component. Here, you know, and then you're just giving these different routes, and you can just link to them. It's a good-looking single-page app. I think it's super simple to set up and link everything together rather than having some massive HTML file. Super easy to do JavaScript in here. Just under this render, you can do a bunch of JavaScript before the return and target things within here. I'm not going to touch on that in this because I think it's a little bit like not as important as just getting a good static web page out there that looks nice. So yeah, hope this helped. Hope I didn't go too fast. Just kind of going a little bit fast there. But yeah, if you have any questions, come ask me.